J. Smith, still in Accra, in Ghana. And I want to show you that statue right over there. You can, I don't know if you can see that statue there. That is J.B. Dunkwa. J.B. Dunkwa was one of the one of the great men here in Ghana when it got its independence. And he stood against Nkrumah. And he was jailed by him because he was a threat to him. And I understand that while he was in jail, then he was killed. And so this statue is there to commemorate. So he was a politician who was martyred for the cause. What I want to do today, since we're talking about martyrdom and we're talking about violence, that in this case it's political violence, happens all over the world. And this is one of the questions that comes up all the time between Christians and Muslims, and that concerns who really is, or which religion really is the religion of peace, or who is the real man of peace, Jesus or Muhammad. We've already done some comparisons of Muhammad and Jesus, but this one is one that I think we need to do particularly because this is coming up. It's in all our newspapers. Almost every day there's something that's happening that's causing violence. A lot of it by Islam, and many Muslims are even questioning whether or not their religion really is a religion of violence. I know that many Muslims I have talked to, when I brought this up, say no, really is Christianity is a religion of violence. Take a look at the Old Testament. Look at all the violence that is there, and we'll talk about the difference between the violence in the Old Testament and the peace in the New in another video. But for now, I just want to look at the two men, because it's obvious that when Jesus speaks about violence or peace, it's obvious that he is a man of peace. He's very clear that he is a man of peace. When you look at Muhammad, I would have to say that he may have been peaceful while he was in Mecca, but by the time he moved to Medina, he was anything but peaceful. And when you get to Medina, my goodness, you see almost immediately when he gets there in 622, within 2 years of moving there, well, even before the 2 years are finished, there was Asma Bint Marwan, who is a poetess, who wrote poetic verses against him, and he demanded somebody to kill this woman. Who's going to take care of her? One of his disciples went that night to her house. She was suckling her baby. She had 6 children. She was on the bed suckling her baby when Umar comes and just stabs her right through the heart, kills her, comes back the next morning, tells Muhammad what he had done. And Muhammad turns to him and says, "Blessed are you for what you have done for your prophet." This, a man of peace, that's how he dealt with criticism. Can you then understand why so many Muslims around the world, when those 12 cartoons came out in Denmark, 17 people lost their lives. When Charlie Hebdo made those horrific cartoons, and they were horrific, but they're even more horrific if you look at the cartoons against Jesus Christ. Well, he didn't kill anybody because of what Charlie Hebdo did with Jesus Christ. All the editors and those who were responsible for those cartoons were then killed in Paris. If you want to look at Muhammad's life, continue on, because then from 624 then he started using violence. For the first 2 years in Medina, he tried not to, except for those who criticized him. But by 624, he threw out the Banu Kainuka family, the Jewish family there, threw them up to the north because they didn't support him in the Battle of Badr. After the Battle of Uhud in 625, he threw out the second major Jewish family, the Banu Nadir. 2 years later in 627, after the Battle of the Trenches, which neither side really won, came back and he wondered why the Banu Qurayza family, the largest Jewish tribe, the only one that was remaining there in Medina. Remember, the Jews were from Medina. Muhammad was not from Medina. He was from Mecca. He was a guest in Medina. He had only been in Medina for 5 years, and he went and attacked them. And for 21 days, it says, according to his biography by Ibn Hisham, for 21 days he attacked them. They finally gave up. He took all 800 men in groups of 10 and slit their throats. Took the women as concubines for his men and the children as slaves. Now, I have a name for that. We call that genocide. He didn't stop there then, and from 627 on, we know that from up until he died in 632, he was involved in 29 battle campaigns, planned another 33 on top of that, his whole life, from 627 to 632. That last 5 years of his life was imbued with violence. If you want to find a man of violence, just look at Muhammad's own biography. But I want to end with Jesus. I always love ending with Jesus, because they're talking about peace. Goodness sake, if you want a man of peace, you better go to Jesus Christ. He never, ever used violence. He never advocated violence. The one time violence was used by his disciple Peter when he was there in the Garden of Gethsemane being arrested and cut off the ear of the servant who was arresting him. Jesus took the ear, put it back onto the servant. There we see in Matthew 26, he says that, put away the sword, Peter, for he who lives by the sword dies by the sword. Jesus wouldn't even let anybody defend him with violence. So really, who is the man of peace? Who is the man of violence? I think it's pretty obvious who is the man of peace. And what's fascinating, we all want peace today. It's too bad this man died here as a political martyr, as the sun setting here in Accra, in Ghana. You need to ask that question. Do you really want to follow a man like Muhammad? If that's the model you're going to use, that's the model you have to use everywhere, every time, with anyone. And look and see how he dealt with those who criticized him. Look and see how he dealt with those who stood against him. Look and see how even the Jews, the 3 Jewish tribes who would not support him. If that's your model, why don't you come on back to Jesus Christ? What a model for today. What a model for any day. What a model for you and me. What a model for everyone, anyone, anywhere, at any time. Jesus is the model. He is the man of peace. He is the one you need. He is really the Prince of Peace. Come on back to Jesus. God bless you here in Accra. Busy, busy city. Right at the roundabout at the north end of Oxford Street. The Ghanaian Oxford Street. This is Jay then. Over and out.